The 3 steps to master the ACT: identify, improve, execute. We already discussed what the steps are and why they're so effective, but there's one step in the 3 that brings with it the greatest potential for improvement, yet that every single ACT test prep program seems to almost completely neglect, and that is the first and most important step: identifying weaknesses. You see, there is a direct relationship between the number of weaknesses you identify and the number of improvements you make. As you identify more weaknesses, you have more areas of improvement that you can attack and actually make improvements in. So identifying more weaknesses will eventually lead to more improvement. The unfortunate reality, however, is that most students don't see this relationship, and thus never really try to pinpoint what weaknesses they have, instead just taking more and more practice exams in the hopes of improvement through repetition. Here's the key to the whole process. More practice can only lead to more improvement if you identify weaknesses to improve upon. If you do that, then the repetitive practice can be a great study tool and a great means of improvement. But people fail to accurately identify their weaknesses and thus just end up in a rut of repetitively taking practice exams and making no improvements in the process. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, it probably does, because too many students use this flawed procedure of repetitively taking practice exams without actually trying to identify weaknesses and areas of improvement that can be improved upon. It's a sad state that most students are finding themselves in, as the vast majority of courses and students neglect the logical core principles of any improvement or development process. Think of yourself as an engineer on a team trying to fix a bridge that's continuously falling apart. In order to make lasting, effective improvements to the bridge, you need to first identify what's wrong with the bridge and why it has the problems that it has. Once you fully and accurately diagnose the bridge's problems and weaknesses, only then can you make improvements and actually arrive at an optimum reasonable solution. It wouldn't make sense to just start throwing different solutions into implementation and see what works. That's just simply a waste of time and a waste of money. So how should a student go about effectively identifying their weaknesses to actually max out their improvement? And what can you start doing right now to actually make a positive impact on your score? Well, there's 2 things. First, you need to look at your old practice exams. And when I say old practice exams, that means official ACT practice exams that you took in the actual ACT simulated environment with the actual ACT timing, and then analyze those practice exams by finding and pinpointing exactly which skills, which question types, and which problems were giving you the most trouble on those exams. You see, the incorrect responses that you have on your past practice exams are direct evidence of your weaknesses, and you can use that evidence to your advantage by identifying which specific things you got wrong the most and need to work on. And we're not just saying to identify which section of the ACT is giving you the most trouble. We're talking about actual skills and question types. For example, there might be a certain math skill, or there might be a certain English question type that you consistently get wrong within your past practice exams. And all it takes is an acknowledgement of a weakness in that specific skill area and those question types, plus an implementation of a strategy that you develop and implement every time you come across a question testing that specific skill that you are weak in, or just that question type in general. And that brings us to our second point. Once you've identified a skill weakness or a question type weakness, you need to fill in those skill gaps. So that might mean learning certain skills that you have identified as weaknesses, or just reviewing question types that you consistently get wrong and trying to develop a strategy that will help you answer those questions correctly. Because when you analyze those past practice exams with questions that you get wrong, you can figure out why you got those questions wrong, as well as develop ways to overcome those challenges that you had in answering those questions. Because if there's one thing that's true about the ACT exam, it's that skills and question types are recurring. Let me repeat that again. Skills and question types are recurring, which means that from exam to exam, you will be tested on similar or almost the same skills and question types. And if you master those skills and those question types, you're putting yourself in a great place when it comes to the actual subject matter of the ACT. You'll simply get more questions right with that understanding. And if you follow this procedure to master the most recurring question types and skill types, especially the ones that you consistently get wrong on your exams, you will unlock a significant amount of immediate raw score improvement, because you're attacking those areas that you have the greatest weaknesses in. And so that gap between your score and a 36 just shrinks as you identify more weaknesses and actually develop a plan to overcome those weaknesses and those challenges. It's as simple as that. Now imagine that you do this for every single practice exam and identify as many weaknesses as you possibly can, and you'll see what kind of improvement you can possibly make just by identifying more weaknesses and more things that you need to work on, and then working on them in whatever way you possibly can. It's a process that yields unlimited improvement if you are willing to just identify what your weaknesses are and try to develop a plan to overcome those weaknesses. And if you do this, you're putting yourself in a very good place when it comes to trying to get that target ACT score that you're looking for. And it gets better. You may have heard us refer to this before, but in the 3 Steps course, we have a complete, easy-to-use study guide of all of the skills tested on each individual section of the ACT, with a discussion of common question types and how you can learn those skills for the specific way that they're tested on in the ACT. This resource is your absolute best friend when it comes to identifying weaknesses, because it guides you through the process of identifying which specific skills you need to work on and how you need to work on them to succeed on the test. And all of this is being done in one easy-to-use, continuously improving tool. If you find that you're someone that needs to make significant subject matter improvements, or that your score is in the mid-20s or below, this tool is exactly what you need to fully identify your weaknesses and master the ACT subject matter content. And if you choose our course, you will also get a vast array of innovative, highly effective test-taking tips and strategies from authors who have made rapid, significant improvements of 12 points and above. It's the real deal, and if you want to make real developments in your ACT score, we encourage you to consider taking your chances on our low-risk, high-reward ACT course that comes with a 100% no-nonsense guarantee. For more information, visit our website and our social media pages, all of which are linked in the description below. If you want to learn more about our supplemental material, resources, and how the subject matter study aspect of our course works and why it's going to make a huge impact on your ACT score, we have a video on the screen in front of you where you can learn more about that. Apart from that, guys, we'll catch you guys in the next one. This is Shahir Mirza from 5 Academy, signing off.